Lowkey Deep. Real talk, real artist.
You just finished your world tour, right? In September. And almost immediately afterwards, you started doing your promo tour. What is wrong with you? Are you a workaholic?
I think the way that my solo career kind of started out, it was a little bit stop-start. And then we had a COVID and the lockdown. So I just want to keep the momentum going, really. I've enjoyed this year so much. It's done so much for me professionally and personally, to be honest. So it was just about keeping the momentum going, really.
Yeah, so you must like traveling then when you...
I do love traveling. I mean, touring is definitely the best part of the job. That kind of, yeah.
Oh, that's really your favorite part about being a musician?
Definitely, yeah. That's the moment that you see the songs come to life, you know. And also, it's the most literal thing that I do. You get a very obvious reaction if you're doing a good job. You get a very obvious reaction from the crowd, and there's no in between, and I like that.
Yeah, I imagine like writing songs is just you sitting with your thoughts and I don't know, creativity, and then getting the feedback of fans.
It's amazing. It's amazing. And also you see what these moments mean to people at that time. And I think that's important as an artist to kind of have, foresight of that, definitely.
Yeah, of course. Were you nervous at all to go on world tour just by yourself? Or was that maybe liberating in some kind of sense?
A bit of both. I mean, before I went on it, I feel like I'd been working up to that moment my whole solo career. So there was a lot of room for overthinking or worrying or speculating, whatever that might be. And, especially because I had the experience in One Direction that's at such a high level that, there was a time before I went on the tour that I was worried, am I going to feel the same? Is it going to make me feel, as good as it did in the band? And are the shows going to feel different? Are they going to sound different? So there was I was really excited about going on tour, but there was something in the back of my mind just crossing my fingers, hoping that it was going to be everything that I wanted it to be. Yeah. But honestly, I'm not just saying something that feels kind of cliche. It was everything I wanted and more. It really, really was. I found so much benefit in doing those shows. And as I said before, getting that kind of very obvious reaction at every single show. And that's kind of what I've been missing in my career, is having that consistency of show after show after show. It leaves no room for anything other than just kind of living in the moment and taking those moments for what they are.
Yeah. So you weren't nervous at all to step on stage for the first time when the tour started?
I'd say I was a little bit, like, naturally. But it was also the fact that I'd worked so hard to get to that point. So I knew that it's kind of inevitable that before you go in to do something that felt like a relatively new experience, I'd not done it for like 4 or 5 years. So I was a little bit nervous going into it. But I'd say after maybe 5-6 shows, it wasn't the same feeling. Excitement, though, feels very similar to being nervous, really. So you can kind of choose of how you want to interpret that feeling.
Yeah. When you're traveling that much, when you're being on tour worldwide in every country, every other day, I imagine, in a different country, how do you maintain sane? Do you have like a daily routine that you stick by?
I'm not very good with that kind of thing. I think for me, one thing that really helps with sanity, and especially with kind of moving about so many different places, I like to be on my tour bus as much as I can. And what I mean by that is instead of staying in hotel rooms, and that way you've got at least a home away from home. It feels like you've got that base. It's not like a ever revolving hotel room that looks different every time you walk in there. So for me, I suppose that probably definitely helps.
Yeah. So you made your tour bus your own.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah. On your new album, Faith in the Future, that is about to come out very soon, November 11th. Where on earth did you find the time to write an album while you were on world tour?
Well, luckily, I'd done pretty much all of it before I went out on tour. So I'd say the first half of lockdown, I took that time for myself and tried to kind of declutter my brain and give myself space to want to make this new album and also work out, what it is I wanted to do. So it was probably the majority of it was made, maybe like, I want to say like 5 months before tour started.
Wow. That was really quick though. Is that usual for you? Are you that quick when...
It was definitely a lot faster than my first record, but I think because I had more clarity and I knew what it was I wanted to do, there was a complexity to making my first record. I think I was kind of battling with myself with what I thought people wanted to hear and also what I wanted to make. Whereas going into this second album, it was just a more clear picture. I knew I just had to make the record that I loved.
Yeah, that's also like almost a question I wanted to ask, because I was wondering, how did you approach finding your own style in music?
I think a combination of things. Trial and error is very relevant in songwriting, or at least it has been to me, especially at the start, playing around with different sounds, different genres, different lyric concepts. But it's a process, that thing. You know, you also have to make mistakes and, you know, find out what doesn't feel comfortable to you musically to kind of reverse engineer it and work out, this is who I want to be as an artist. So it was just a process, really. It just took a little bit of time. And it demanded that I was a little bit braver and kind of just following my heart musically, and on my head, so be it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So it was a mixture of gut feeling and also a vision for yourself that you had.
Absolutely, yeah. Trying to listen to your gut as much as possible, but also trying to look at things logically.
Yeah. When you look back at your old album in comparison to the new one, what would you say, how did your music style develop?
I think on this record, it does feel truer to me as a person, to me as a songwriter, and also to me even as a music fan. It's the kind of stuff that I love listening to as well. And I think on the first record, there was definitely times where I dipped my toe into those kind of feelings, but it's only now in hindsight that I look back and I realise that actually, you know, if I was going to make a second album, which I have, there was no real option other than to just kind of follow my heart, really. And it's not to say that I'm not immensely proud of the first record, because I really, really am. And as I said before, you have to go through those processes. You know, I wouldn't have been able to write Faith in the Future without Walls. That's part of the process.
So you can also listen to your own songs. Would you play them?
I'm not gonna lie, I didn't listen to a lot of Walls much at all. And actually, preparation for the tour, I can remember kind of getting in my vocal coach and thinking, I don't even know all the words. I mean, like, I've written it, but I don't even know all the words. Whereas it is a slightly different thing. And actually, listen, I'm not that guy who's going to be putting my own music on, like, in front of like a big crowd and dancing to it in the middle and trying to encourage everyone to sing. Nothing like that. But I will say, as a music fan, I have taken time out across this record to really kind of listen. And also, it's good practice when you can, you know, you can kind of listen to it, or at least you can imagine how the fans might react to it. And to listen to the music, you know, you have to actually listen to the music to get into those kind of thoughts and ideas.
Yeah. Is there a song on the album that was especially difficult for you to write?
Not so much on this record, just because I had a pretty clear vision, and also it helped to have kind of a cue before every session. And it was thinking about different moments in the live show. So I might go into the session and go, you know, let's find an opener for the tour. Let's find a moment where if we've had a lot of tempo, let's bring it back with a ballad. So it was a bit more precise this way around. I had a vision for every session, really. That's not to say all the songs were as easy as each other. If I was to pick one, and I don't really know why, but it's a song called Paradise, that the production just took a little bit longer than the rest, but I don't really know why. But
it's also so interesting that you approach the songs by visualizing playing it live. That is such a cool approach.
Yeah, well, that's important to me, again, as an artist and as a music fan. Of course, I encourage people to listen to this album, you know, on track and on CD, or however you digest your music. But for me, the best moments with the music are the live shows like that. And I know myself as a music fan, I love listening to music on my phone or whatever it might be, but nothing trumps being there for the live show. So it was just, and also I'm lucky enough to have these incredible audiences, so it was just about trying to meet them in the middle with their energy that they bring every single show, and creating an album that kind of shines in that context.
Yeah. Were you ever at the point in your life or in your career when you were like thinking about not doing it anymore, or maybe doing music but not publishing it?
Well, there was when I first started out my solo career, and I think this is it's probably me kind of protecting myself in hindsight now when I look back. But when I thought about getting back into the industry, I thought, well, maybe I'll just do some songwriting and maybe pitch them out to other artists. I couldn't really see myself as a solo artist, just because I'd never really had that moment to have those thoughts when I was in the band. So yeah, I don't know. I think over time, I've just felt a little bit braver and just went for it really. But there was definitely times where it was challenging. But I like to think, and I could be wrong, but I like to think those days are behind me now. I feel like I've worked out who I am as an artist and what I need to do. So hopefully, I've left those thoughts in the past.
Yeah, but must be really satisfying, the feeling that.
Definitely, and it took me some time to get here, but now I do feel really comfortable in the music that I'm making, the shows that I'm playing, and kind of anything else that comes from where I'm already at is a bonus, really. So that it's a comforting feeling, that definitely.
That's a nice way to put it. Thank you so much for talking to me, Luca.
Thanks a lot for your time.
Lowkey Deep. Gold interviews with Cassandra.